Good morning, my dear students. Welcome back to our English class. So, we were taking the lesson, The Best Investment I Ever Made by A.J. Cronin. So, in the last class, where did we stop? So, that person got his life back and he was describing what was the incident. Why did he try to commit suicide? As he regained his strength, he told us his story. What was the story? His parents were dead. An uncle had found him a position as clerk in a London solicitor's office. He had been in the city only 6 months. Utterly friendless, he had fallen victim to the low society of the streets, had made bad companions, and like a young fool, eager to taste pleasure far beyond his means, had begun to bet on horses. Soon he had lost all his small savings, had pledged his belongings, and owed the bookmaker a disastrous amount. So, what was the story? His parents were dead and he had only one uncle, and he somehow he managed to give him a job in a London solicitor's office as a clerk. And in that city he had been only for 6 months and he had no friends at that time. So, he had fallen victim to the loose society of the streets. What is loose society of the streets? Maybe like using drugs, smoking, or using any which one we can say alcohol. So, like a young fool eager to taste pleasure far beyond his means, far beyond his salary, he wanted to taste what were the pleasures in the society, had begun to bet on horses. Soon he had lost all his small savings, had pledged his belongings, and owed the bookmaker a disastrous amount. What happened there? So, when he started to have using drugs, using alcohol, smoking, most of his savings had been lost. So, he pledged all his belongings and he took a large amount from a bookmaker. In an effort to recoup, he wanted to get all these things, all this money back. He had taken a sum of money from the office safe for a final gamble that he was assured was certain to win. So, he was certain that he would win in that gamble, bet on horses. But this last resort had failed. That last attempt was also failed. Terrified of the prosecution that must follow, sick at heart, sunk in despair, he had shut himself in his room and turned on the gas. So, surely he expected a case against that because he stole a sum of money from the office safe. So, he was afraid of that. So, what happened? He was sunk in despair. So, he closed the door and tried to commit. He used to switch on the gas and that was happened there. Turn on the gas. A long bar of silence throbbed in the little attic when he concluded this halting confession. Then gruffly the surgeon asked how much he had stolen. So, not in a rough mood, the sergeant of police asked him how much of the amount he had stolen from the office safe. 7 pounds 10 shillings. The answer sounded pitiful because it was a small amount of money. For that small amount of money, 7 pounds and 10 shillings, he was trying to commit suicide. For this paltry sum, small sum, he had almost thrown away his life. There was a pause. So, everyone was surprised because he tried to commit suicide for such a small amount. The three of us, the surgeon, the landlady and me, as the sole witnesses of the near tragedy, had the same unspoken thought in our minds. We decided to give the young man a fresh start. So, who were the witnesses there? Only 3 persons were there. Sergeant of police, the landlady and Mr. A.J. Cronin. The surgeon, at considerable risk to his job, resolved to make no report upon the case so that no court proceedings would result. So, what happened? The sergeant of police decided that he would not take any case against that. So, no court proceedings would not be there. The landlady offered a month's free board until he should get upon his feet again. The landlady also offered a month's free board there. He could stay there without giving any rent. While I make him perhaps the least contribution came forward with 7 pounds 10 shillings for him to put back in the office safe. So how did he help A.J. Cronin? Only that some amount, how much? 10 shillings and 7 pounds he gave there for saving that person. That was the small amount he has given. The ship moved on through the still darkness of the night. There was no need of speech. With a tender gesture, Mrs. S had taken her husband's, and so ship was moving at that time also, and that time no one was speaking. Mrs. S had taken her husband's hand, and as we sat in silence, I could not but reflect that it was the best investment I had made in my life. It had paid me no dividends in worldly goods, but had turned out to be immensely profitable. It stood out against all the bad investment I had made throughout the years, those foolish speculations for material gain, producing only anxiety, disappointment and frustration. Here A.J. Cronin says that was the only sum amount he gave Mr. John, and actually that was the best investment he had ever made in his life, because he could save Mr. John at that time, and through Mr. John he could save many of the person, those who are very backward in the society, those maladjusted people, delinquent youths. So that is describing here that was the best investment. Maybe he had invested more money in the banks, but he got only the material gain there, but here he was getting such a satisfaction because he could save such a good person. So thank you. Have a nice day.